250th time. And I wanted Julia to watch it with me because the movie, I basically cry every time I watch it. Now, it's definitely a guy's flick for sure. And, you know, if you played sports growing up and stuff, you can definitely relate to it even on that level as well. And so, but it's like every time I watch it, there's another awareness that I get. And, you know, when I first watched it, it sort of brought up like all my daddy issues, you know. Never met my biological father, and then, you know, mom remarried when I was about 5 years old, and he raised me till I was about 10, so he was only like in the house for about, you know, 5 years, and then it was just, you know, every other weekend type thing. And, you know, I was eventually a teenager and really didn't spend many weekends anyway. So there was always this void of fatherdom in my life. And so I sort of kind of made a lot of oaths and vows with regards to, you know, when I have children one day, I'm going to be there. Even if I ended up impregnating 100 different women, every single one of those kids would know who their father was. And so that was something that, you know, I came into this life with that desire, and probably contracts and whatever else, but that's not why I want to do this video. But the purpose of the video is like, it's amazing. You know, as an access consciousness facilitator and also as a talk to the entity facilitator, it's like we have the opportunity to invite people to live a life with no regrets. And I know that's not necessarily access speak, right? Because, you know, choice creates awareness, right? So every choice we make creates an awareness of some sort, right? But a regret's a regret because of the judgment that we have attached to the choices we make, or perhaps the non-choices we make in our lives. And so this conversation is more about the non-choices or the no choices that we make. And then we look back on our lives and we're like, damn it, why didn't I create that? Why didn't I just go for it? What would I had to lose? You know, and so, you know, now I always lived my life from that point of view. It's like ever since I was a kid, I was always afraid of dying and da-da-da-da. And Shannon O'Hara says, you know, we're infinite beings, right? And Gary Douglas, you know, we're an infinite being, right? So we're going to live on forever, right? But you're not going to necessarily live on in the form of Anthony, right? So I didn't have that point of view my whole life. My point of view was like, I'm Anthony, and I'm only Anthony, and that's it. So I better make the best out of this journey while I can. And in many, many ways, I still have that point of view, right? I don't want to wait 1,000 lifetimes from now to, you know, fulfill the things that are intense desires for me to be while I'm here on this planet. I don't want to wait 1,000 lifetimes from now. I want to do it now. The time is now. So, you know, watching Field of Dreams, it was like, you know, it's like, again, for the 250th time, it was like, whoa. If you watch this movie, again, it's a guy flick, but if you're a woman, and like 85% of the women are you know, access conscious is made up of like 85% women, practically. So what would it take to change that and have more men come to access? But so for you ladies, there's a lot of messages in the movie, because it's like, you know, he built this baseball field basically for these entities to come back and play again, and to sort of like fulfill those things that they didn't get a chance to fulfill when they actually had bodies. And there's a beautiful scene where this one guy who became a doctor because he couldn't make it in the major leagues, he only got to play for like a half an inning, but there was always that burning desire of like, what if I just had that one chance? And so I don't want to spoil the movie. Most of you probably won't even watch it, but I just want you to, I'm going to eventually get to the point of what I'm trying to say. It was like, so he was an old man when Kevin Costner went to go visit him, and he was a doctor. And so Kevin Costner invited him to come back to play on this baseball field, which was basically like a portal between earth and heaven. And the entities, the former baseball players, would come out of the cornfield and they would play during the day and then go back into the cornfield at night. And, you know, some of them didn't even know where they were. And Kevin Costner was like, you're in Iowa. You know, it was a really cute movie. James Earl Jones is in it too, and he does a great job. So anyway, so this guy Archie Graham, Doc Graham, he's like, he said he wasn't gonna go play. The guy's like in his 80s, and he's a retired doctor, and but he's basically an entity. So Kevin Costner invites him to come back to play to get another chance. The guy's like, nah, I can't. I'm married, and you know that was the past. Let the past be the past. So make a long story short, they're driving back to Iowa. Young boys, you know, hitchhiking along the way, and it's actually the young version of Archie Graham. And he's like 21 years old, 18, 19, and he's like, hey, I want to go play. And so they invited him to go back, and he did, and he played. So, and he got to fulfill his dream. And then Kevin Costner's daughter fell off the bleachers. She was choking to death. And then here comes young Archie Graham. And there's a little line that's considered in play and then out of bounds, or inbounds and out of bounds. And when he was running to the line, if he crossed that line, he could never go back to play. And it was just really amazing to watch him. When he ran, when the girl was choking on something, he stopped at that line. And he paused, and he's like, wait a minute. If I go over, I don't get to play anymore. All right? But he made a choice. He made a choice to step forward, and he went and saved the girl's life because she was choking, so on and so forth. And of course, I started crying like a baby. I'm a total sap, for sure, especially with these movies. Even when I watch The Lion King, I've watched it 100 times, and I cry every time. Again, daddy issues with Lion King, right? So anyway, but he made a choice. And at the same time, Kevin Costner created the space to invite these entities to fulfill something they didn't get to fulfill in their last lifetime. And so, as access consciousness facilitators, as talk to the entity facilitators, what we do is more than just help people through their drama and trauma. We have the opportunity to invite people to fulfill all their dreams. We have the opportunity to invite people to create their life, their way. Okay? Not based on our point of view, not based on their parents' points of view, but based on their point of view. I mean, how do we get so lucky? And as talk to the entity facilitators, as we become more conscious, we have these disembodied beings around us all the time, right? And there's three things we want to look at: clearing them, communicating with them, or receiving from them. And so many of them want to communicate. So many. Why? Because there's a message that they may want to get across to you or to someone that they love. Why? Because they couldn't do it when they had a body. So there's so many messages here, and what I'm saying is, like, number one, how awesome is it to be a facilitator of access consciousness and talk to the entities? I'm so fucking incredibly lucky that I have the opportunity to help someone create a life for themselves their way, and also help them get through their bullshit. But more importantly, create a life that's beyond anything that they've ever imagined. And then the other thing, of course it's already left my brain, is, it's like we get to work with these entities who have had these broken promises, or they didn't have the vulnerability when they were alive and had bodies to express their feelings with the people that they loved. So I invite you to two things. I invite you to, number one, while you're still here and have bodies, what would it take for you to be vulnerable, truly vulnerable, and really be with the people that are in your life without judgment, without a point of view? And do the things that really matter to you most. If you have children, spend time with them, quality time. Okay? I don't mean the amount of time, but quality time. If you're, a man or a woman, and you have if it's a son, go out and have a baseball catch. Throw the football with them. Go fishing with them. Go hunt, whatever it is, go hunting. What if you didn't have to live your life with any regrets? What if you were in a constant state of creation? Every 10 seconds, every day, what do you get to create today? And what if, you only had 10 seconds to live the rest of your life, what would you choose? Would you choose to hold on to the grudges? Would you choose to be bitter to the people who wronged you? Would you even care? So it's like, what if today was your last? I'm not trying to be all like, like a buzzkill or anything, but it was like, what if you lived every day like it was your last? What would you actually choose that's different than what you're already choosing? If you're just sitting around hoping and dreaming that things will show up, you gotta just keep hoping and dreaming. It's like watching the grass grow. It's not how it works. It's like you have to generate and create your life. And don't be one of those entities that when you decide to leave your body, you're kind of annoying the people who do have bodies because you have things you want them to say to your loved ones, or there are things that you want to say to your loved ones that you didn't have the vulnerability to say when you had the body, but all of a sudden now it's time. Well, what if the time was right now? To go up to hug somebody you love. Or let's let bygones be bygones. So there was so much to that. Since I started to talk to the entities, the work, and it was like I was able to look at that movie from a completely different perspective in terms of like this guy created this like portal in which people that had unfulfilled dreams in their previous life had a chance and an opportunity to fulfill those voids. So what if there were no voids ever to fulfill ever again if you started choosing and making that choice to create your life? And it was really cool, like what I was saying with Archie Graham. It was like he still chose to be a doctor. When push came to shove, he made the choice to be a doctor, not the baseball player. And that choked me up. It may not choke you guys up, and you may not see it the same way that I did, but hopefully there's some messages in this video for you and some takeaways that you can get, you can have, hopefully. And just call up someone that you love and say, hey, I have your back. I love you no matter what. And so anyway, so watch Field of Dreams, see what it creates in your world. There's so many messages within that movie. And what if you never had to live your life in the no choice universe ever again, but to actually choose every single day, every 10 seconds, as if it was your last, but in a way that's going to create a greater future, to create a more expansive future and a sustainable planet. And that that if you are on your way out, that the people that you've had a chance to impact created this magnificent ripple effect in their universe where they're able to make and be the contribution to their family and to this amazing planet that we live on. So, all right. So hopefully you guys got something out of this, and thanks for listening. All right. Love you. Bye-bye. And one more thing. In the movie, you'll notice that he was led by the whispers. And so in our life, how often do we ignore the whispers? We're so busy with all the noise in our head and trying to figure it out and trying to resolve the problem or trying to predict our future before we actually choose. What if it was the whispers of consciousness, as Gary Douglas says, is where it all lies? So it was like in the whispers of consciousness, and even in his daughter, who was like 5 or 6 years old, she was aware. She was able to see, perceive, know, be, and receive things that the other people in this reality couldn't. And it was like, and then there was that saying that you may have heard of, if you build it, they will come. It's like if you choose, if you generate and create, you begin to generate and create your life, it will all come together as long as you stay the course and keep choosing and keep creating. If you build it, it will come. Whatever that is. Now don't worry about when, and don't worry about the how. Generate, create, and choose. Okay. Now that's my final note of the day.